All right, so Barrett, tell me what we've got here. It looks like we've got a 4-in-1 X84T.
So this is an X-Treme 4-in-1 bucket, 84 inches with welded on teeth.
Okay, so why would I want welded on teeth versus a cutting edge?
So the welded on teeth give you the advantage of being able to break the ground with a little bit more ease. You can, get into harder packed ground, dig into rocks.
And then I see that you've got a hole there. What's that for?
So the holes in the side are, if you don't have the welded on teeth, you have the option of getting a bolt-on tooth bar, which is basically the welded on teeth, but to a removable piece.
Okay, and then the side cutters here, are those standard or optional?
The side cutters are standard on all of our X-Treme products that have the applicability of having them.
Okay, so I've got it, an X-Treme cutting edge, X-Treme teeth, and X-Treme side cutters, right?
That's correct.
And so this one with a 4-in-1 bucket, it looks like it's got 3 cutting edges. Can you tell me a little bit about those and why would I want 3 cutting edges on here?
That's correct. So we have a 1x8 AR400 cutting edge on the front side here, and that's your main working cutting edge, what you're doing your digging with. Then you have 2 3/4x6 cutting edges in the back here. And the purpose of the 4-in-1 bucket is to have 4 different purposes. You can open this bucket up and use the back edges to do grading work, plow work, clamp stuff together.
So I understand the cylinders will collapse and that opens up the front lip of the bucket. So you've got to have hydraulics on your machine. You hook up the hydraulics. Do you have to have electronics or anything for this machine?
No, sir. This 4-in-1 is hydraulic only.
And then you've got a few greaserts and a couple cylinders here?
Yes, sir. So we have the recessed greaser pin on the pivot pin, which greases the joint, and then we have the greaserts on the cylinder themselves, which are protected by welded on greaser protectors to keep everything greased. We do recommend daily greasing of the product to keep everything in working order.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, these are protected from anything getting hit or cut off or whatnot.
Correct.
That's fantastic. I like the logo on the side. Is there anything else that I should know about this bucket before we move on?
So the purpose of a 4-in-1 bucket is to basically combine 4 attachments into one. You have your standard bucket. Once you open this clamshell, you can use this back edge as a plow. And then you have the serrations on the side here that you can use the clamshell as a grapple. And then you can use the front edge as well as the back edge to back drag and grade. So it really does, take 4 products and just combine them all into one.
That's cool. That's cool. So will this grapple as good as a normal grapple? I mean, why you got a grapple over here, you got a 4-in-1 grapple, why wouldn't I just buy this?
So this is kind of a jack of all trades. It does have the ability to do grapple, but it will not work as well as a root grapple or a grapple rake or anything of those lines because it is kind of like a pivoting grapple. So once you grab one thing, anything beneath it, you can't really get a hold of.
All right, I got it. So if I want to do grapple work all day, every day, and I bring one attachment to the job, I get a dedicated grapple, a root rake, whatever.
Yes, sir.
And then if I am only wanting to bring one product on one trailer to the job, this will do a little bit of grappling, it'll do good dirt work, it'll do good dozing work, and back drag work. I got it.
That's correct.
Great. Well, let's jump over to the Power Rake. I got a couple questions on that, and then maybe we'll end up in the middle with this, this cool contraption you guys got here in the middle, all right?
Sounds good.
Okay, I see here, just like over there, you've got your model number, XPWR.
So this is an X-Treme Power Rake, as well as with the size on it. So this is a 90-inch.
So I've used these Power Rakes quite a bit, but I see a few things that I really like on this one. You've got air-filled tires here, right?
These are actually foam-filled tires, so they don't go flat on you.
I've been there before. You're halfway through a job and that tire goes flat and you can't finish your job. So
nothing more annoying than that.
And so I see this has got greaserts in the fronts and maybe some pins. What can you tell me about this?
Yes, sir. So the greaserts, just to keep it in working order, so they're free spinning. The bushings allow a little bit of adjustment for float. You can remove them, add them all to the top or bottom to help adjust your height depending on the specific instances that you're working on, as well as your specific machine.
Okay, but once I kind of get them dialed in, they're good to go, right?
Yeah, and this is more of a feel thing. Once you get comfortable with the attachment, you're going to get used to what you're doing.
So tell me a little bit more. We've got 3 pinholes here. What's this all about?
So the 3 pins basically allow for different orientations of the arms and the wheels themselves. You can either A, keep them in the working dimension, B, remove this pin and then pull the arm up, put the pin back in, which kind of stores them in an upright position, which is good for shipping, or when you have it on a trailer, or if you just don't want to use the wheels. Or you could pull both pins and drop them out all together for either of those previous reasons.
Yeah, I really like that. I've been working around houses. I've used this around a house, get up close to a foundation or up close to the edge of a building, and you can't quite get all the way in. And with that, you'd be able to get all the way in and get really close to the edge of the property. That's great. And even like if you're storing it for shipping it, right? If you're putting it on your trailer, you don't have room on the trailer, you can fling them up and
that's correct.
Hold it up like that. Great. All right, so I noticed these wings, and I'm going to jump fast forward, I guess, because I see some holes here on the backside too.
That's correct. So we call these retaining wings. And basically, they keep the material in your working width. And why they have the pull handle on the pins is that whether I'm working, forward or backwards, I want to still be able to maintain that material in my working width. And so if I'm working forward, I would have them in this orientation. And when I'm going backwards, I would take this one, put it on the backside on this side, that one, backside of this one, and then I can retain my material as I'm going backwards.
With that angle, can I take one off or?
Absolutely. So you have full functionality here. You can drop one off, angle it over, do a windrow, and be pushing material off to one side and retaining on the other.
Okay, but is there enough rotation to really do it both directions?
There is. So you have 30 degrees of rotation in either direction.
Outstanding. So total is 60 degrees rotation one way or the other. That's awesome.
That's correct.
So I noticed another place where it rotates. I see some more pins down here on the back side.
Yes, sir. So we have a set of pins here in the back that allows for a free float angle. There's 22 degrees total of free float here, which just allows for a little bit of uneven ground. It lets the drum to maintain, ground contact as you're moving.
So this right here looks like an expensive option. Is that right?
That's correct. So this is for a hydraulically angled version. Mm-hmm. You have your manifold and your two diverter splitter valves. Basically, you will have an electric signal that flips the flow from the motor to the cylinder here, which actually actuates the angle. And the cool thing about this block is that it actually allows you to keep the drum spinning while angling it. So you never lose the function of the motor spinning the drum as you're angling. We do offer this in a manual version, which does not have the manifold, the splitter valves, and the hydraulic cylinder. In place, it would have a manual cylinder where you can pull the pin, set your angle, pop the pin back down.
Okay, so if I have the manual version, I won't need this electrical adapter.
You will not need any wiring components if you have the manual version. You just have a set of machine hoses that go straight to the motor.
Okay, so it looks like you've got a 7-pin here. It looked like you had a 14-pin on one of the other products. So this looks like it just kind of clips in. You spin it until you find the right rotation and then just secure it on there. That's cool. That's easy. Makes sense. And it'll last with the life of my machine. So if I get a different machine, I can get a different wiring harness. That's great.
That's correct. And we actually do offer a universal harness where it's got just needs a power supply and has joysticks with it.
Oh, so this will work on my old machine too that doesn't have electronics all the way back. I just hook it up to the battery and we're off and running.
Yes, sir.
That's great. So I noticed a few other things here that we haven't talked about, but really kind of stand out to me. I appreciate things that are made in America. I know a lot of people put stickers on their stuff, but we're here in Denton, North Carolina at the factory.
That's correct, sir.
I see Made in the USA. I see Parker hoses, this Parker motors. This is fantastic.
Yes, sir. Parker hydraulics on all of these attachments here, hoses, fittings, motors, and then everything, of course, like you said, is made right here in Denton, North Carolina.
Cool. Since we're talking about pumps and motors, and I see this Parker sticker over here. Tell me what's going. Is that the motor for the barrel?
That is correct. So that is a direct drive motor, like you said, Parker motor, and it does drive the actual drum here down at the bottom.
Okay, so now we're down at the motor. We've talked about the retaining wings. We've got look like carbide tips. Are each of these actually welded on individually? Every single tooth is welded directly to the drum, and they are carbide tips. All right, so that'll last for a long time. And then we've got this cool little flap. Is this just a deflector kind of thing or something? It is a deflector. It is 3/8 by 6 rubber that's got webbing through the middle, so it is a bit more durable than just typical rubber.
It's got 6-inch centers on the holes, and it serves its purpose as a deflector, keeping material from flying out, as well as keeping a certain size material from getting pulled up in between the drum.
I can't wait to run this in a few minutes here. So you've got the rubber in the front, rubber in back. You can run it forward, run it backwards, flip them up, flip them down. You kind of got a little bit of everything here, don't you?
That was the goal.
All right. And then you guys weren't done there. You're like, hey, we got everything over there, we got everything over here. How about we combine the two? Well, let's see this fancy new, what do you call this? The 4-in-1 Power Rake. Let's see if there's a sticker on this one. Look at that. I can even read that. 4-in-1 Power Rake 84. All right, tell me, this
Yes,
one's
sir.
in the middle. It's got the powered by Parker. It's got the made in the USA. All the same stuff, same high quality steel. What makes this different?
So this is in the middle because it is basically a hybrid of the two products. So you have a 4-in-1 bucket with a Power Rake kind of morphed into this one product. This is a exclusive product that is patent pending, so no other ones on the market. Basically, you take the functionality of the Power Rake, being able to grade and rip up the surface level of your soil, and then also combine that with the functionality of the 4-in-1, where you have the clamshell for grabbing material, being able to dig. The original purpose was, as most people know who've run Power Rakes, once they get done, they leave a pile of material behind, whatever was left on the job site. And the problem with that is you'd either have to, A, park the skid steer, get out with a rake and shovel, pick it up, or go drop your Power Rake, put a bucket on, pick up your material, dump it off, and then you leave tracks, so then you have to put your Power Rake back on and go back over. With this, once you get done power raking, you have your clamshell opening, you just close it down on the material, you pick it all up at once, drive it off, pretty much done.
That's fantastic. So you're also telling me a little bit earlier, in some situations, if you've got good gravel material, you can use this to actually lay gravel, like a power bucket almost?
Yes, sir. So in the instance that you have a load of gravel in the bucket and you have it angled up, you can actually use the drum as a sort of auger to get a steady flow of gravel out the bottom end. And as you're driving, you're just leaving that steady flow as you're moving.
That's cool. We'll need to try that a little later too. I've never seen that before. I noticed here that this one's got a little holder for the for the hydraulic lines, and then it's got one of those electrical connections too. I don't see that big valve bank on the top here. Why do we have this?
So in this one, it's a little bit different. You're either operating the cylinders or the drum on this one. So you're either opening the clamshell or closing or running the drum. And so on this one, there is no manual version. It's all hydraulic. Always gonna have to have that electrics system there, but you can get the universal, so you don't have to have, your machine doesn't have to have electric capabilities.
All right, so this looks like the same thing too, though. I can go to 7-pin, 14-pin. I can go to just a regular, can I go right back to the battery then too?
Absolutely, that's that universal one. So you'll have that 2-wire connection, which will go into a toggle switch box, and then it has a power. So once you put it into your power supply, you can use that toggle switch and control whether you're using the cylinders or the drum.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about maintenance and grease zerts and things like that. We've got some grease zerts on there, grease zerts here. We do those daily. Listen, how long is that motor going to last? Because it looks like it's kind of buried in here. Maybe you can convince me that it's not a massive chore. I suppose this is the bearing side here.
Yes, sir.
How long does that bearing last for? Do I need to service it every week, or?
It does have a grease zerk to it, so we do recommend that you grease it daily, just to prevent it from locking up or getting packed with dirt. As far as longevity,
Lasts as long as you take care of it?
That's correct. Lasts
Okay.
as long as you take care of it.
But it's easy to get to. We've got some modular, you were telling me like these are modular, so I don't have to take the whole barrel off. I can take parts and components apart?
That's correct. So both the motor cradle and the bearing are completely removable through bolted connections. That way you can drop one off if need be. And as far as the motor cradle, you can see the motor is actually recessed into the cradle by a certain margin to try to limit as much impact, as much dirt as possible getting in and around that motor.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to run some of these. I think this has been a great explanation of which one you might want, or you might want all of them for different jobs. I really appreciate you taking your time to walk through this with me.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I'm looking forward to having you run them.
All right, thanks, Bert.
Thank you, sir.